Hi, I'm here with my analysis today on the 8, excuse me, July 8th, 2020. Sorry, it's a little late, but I'm here. So, welcome. Hello, Joseph. How are you? So here we are today. So, the coronavirus, as we all mentioned, globally we got 12,007,301 cases of COVID. Here in the U.S., we at 3,053,328. So that's 3,053,328 cases of COVID here in the United States of America. Our fatalities here is at 132,277, but I think it's a little higher than that. In other countries, Brazil is seeing 1.7 million cases. India is seeing 742,417 cases of COVID-19. Russia is seeing 699,749. Peru is seeing 312,911. Chile is seeing 303,000, and UK seeing 288,501. Hey, cousin, my cousin's here! Yay! So, thank you for the support, cousin. I appreciate it. Also, African countries, Nigeria is at 30,249. Ghana is at 22,822. Cameroon is at 14,916. Kenya is at 8,528. Senegal is at 7,657. That's the African countries. Now, the Latin country, Panama is at 41,251. DR is at 39,588. Honduras is at 25,000. Guatemala is at also at 25,000. El Salvador is at about 8,000. Haiti is about 6,000. Jamaica is at 751. Diamond Princess is at 712. Guyana is at 284. Trinidad and Tobago is at 133. Bahamas at 104. Barbados at 98. Antigua at 70. St. Vincent at 29. Belize at 30. Grenada at 23. That's my brother-in-law's home country. And St. Lucia's at 22. And Dominica at 18. Now here in the States, this is according to the New York Times, which 38 states are seeing increases of COVID-19. New York is at 403,619. Yes, we still got the high cases, but we see a little bit rises in cases, about like less than 800 that's positive, which is true. California is at 296,292. They're catching up right to New York. I won't be surprised between 2 to 3 weeks or maybe a month from now, they will surpass us. They surpassed New York. They might surpass New York. Because it's 40 million people in California versus 19 million people here in the state. And out of that 19 million, about 9 million people live in New York City. Texas is seeing 228,682. Florida is 223,775. I took a screenshot. I'll post it. But cases in California, Texas, and Arizona. I said California, Texas, Arizona, Florida seeing increases over 10,000. New Jersey's at 175,986. Arizona's at 108,646. Georgia's at 96,538. They went up by about 5,000. And even North Carolina, I included. North Carolina is on a sneak tip of rising at 77,735. Now by county, Queens was the highest county out of all counties within the United States of America. But as of today, Los Angeles have 120,000 cases, 120,764 alone. Cook County in Chicago has 93 cases, 93,000 cases and 53. Maricopa, Arizona, it's crazy, Elizabeth. 67,543. Queens, New York comes in at fourth at 65,347. Brooklyn, which they say Kings County, but it's Brooklyn, at 59,575. Miami-Dade County, which is also rising at 51,000. And the Bronx has 48,000. The city has about like 20-something thousand, 27, 28,000 cases. So, in New York. So, because I live in the city, so that's where we are. But people up here lying and everything about COVID, saying it's real. So I watched the coronavirus task force thing today because, I was doing some work at my house, I'm trying to avoid the public outside. But Mike Pence started out with lying. He didn't even have Dr. Fauci there. It was Dr. Birx. It was Betsy DeVos. It was the Admiral Dar, whatever his name is, from HHS, which is the Health and Human Services, and Secretary Azar. No Dr. Fauci in plain sight, which that worries the crap out of me. So I was like, where Fauci at? Of course, I got a lot of comments on Facebook, even on Instagram, like, where Fauci at? And so he lied and touted about testing over 39 million people, which that's not even enough. We're ranking number 26 or number 27. I have to find the actual ranking. But we're ranking, they liars, Elizabeth, ranking poorly with testing. South Korea has a less population than us, and they tested more people for coronavirus. Boom. And they have less cases. They have like about 12,000 cases or so. I'll give you that tomorrow. But they have way less. They don't even have 20,000 cases, I'm assuming. Last time I checked was like 12,000. We have the most cases because we have people that deny science and lie. And now I'm saying we have more cases because we're testing more people because you're trying to vouch for your states. You're playing a political game. But he noted that there was over 3 million people tested and said 1.3 million people have recovered, but still some of them have to be on dialysis according to an infectious disease doctor I listened to on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Catch Roland Martin Unfiltered because I like that show. At 6 p.m. It's a web show, and I'm going to start donating to that show. He said sadly we lost 132,000 Americans, but he's saying because of the help of the healthcare workers, mortality rate has slow and steady in the days and the weeks, and 90% lower cases according to and praised the task force of it. And he said according to the data, positive testing rate slowing down in Arizona. We all know that's a goddamn lie because Arizona hospitals are overwhelmed. They at like 100% capacity. The ICUs is over 90% capacity. Nurses are crying on viral videos, crying and scared to go to work. And there's hardly no PPE. But I'm about to get to the PPE. And he said slowing, and even in Texas, governors in each state have taken strong steps to flatten the curve. Now Governor Ducey in Arizona has he sure enough then required and put a mandate on people to wear masks because only cities in Arizona. I don't think even Phoenix put a mask mandate on people when Trump was there. So that's very telling. Texas just made masks mandatory because after their hospitals have reached over capacity at 100%. And even that, people still ain't goddamn listening. There's certain things that are still open. Barbershops didn't close. Hair salons didn't close. He closed down bars and restaurants, but you didn't close down hair salons, nail salons. Give me a break. And then he said, you're seeing numbers that in emergency rooms that are declining as well. Keep doing what you're doing. We have strong supplies of PPE. And so why you didn't release the stuff in the national stockpile? Yep, Arizona's been wearing masks. Should have been wearing masks a long time. That's true. But according to Governor Ducey, will listen to anything that Trump will say. Anything. And not just him. DeSantis too. Kemp. The lady from South Dakota. She another dumbass. She another one. And the guy from West Virginia. His stupid ass too. So that's it. And from South Carolina, he another one. So claims stronger need is personal. PPE remains stronger, but we encourage healthcare workers to reuse the PPE. Now, my cousin's on here. She's a healthcare worker, and she ordered many masks because she's not wearing the same goddamn PPE, washing it out. No. And she works with old people. Like, you disrespected people in my family that are healthcare workers. Really? Really, son? Really, Pence? And then he said, in terms of schools, here goes the school crap. He said, in terms of schools, it is time to reopen schools, and it's essential to get our kids back in-person learning, of course. And then we cannot let our kids fall behind academically. It's important to remember the kids have a mental health issues, special needs issues, and nutrition. And it's in our communities that's facing persistent poverty schools, or that mental health and for their mental health well-being, and it says should be open. And then Betsy DeVos said some bullshit talking about parents wear multiple hats and they're the unsung heroes and they're playing teachers. First and foremost, let's make this clear. If I was a parent, I am not sending my kids to school. Let's just make that clear. My cousin is on this live. She already know. Nope, and nope indeed, nope. Not sending kids to school. Are you crazy? Like Donald Trump, and also in a CNBC article, because I'm going a little bit off the script. No, I'm actually going in sequence of order. Very good for me. Has threatened to pull funding from public schools, and said that the CDC guidelines, according to CNBC article, was too tough. Was too tough for existing ones. No, they're not. I didn't get the chance to look at the CDC guidelines, but I would definitely look at them. Because every time when I look at the government websites, it's nothing but lies. Because this administration lies. Time and time again. But he keeps undermining his medical experts. I don't understand why. Donald Trump is not that smart. I don't understand why people in the government let this man get away with shit. No one has a spine. It's like I'm living in a damn Twilight Zone. I've been living in it since he stepped foot in that goddamn office. And that is the truth. That is the ultimate truth. Like, honestly, like, I don't understand. I don't understand how he says the shit that he says. And the medical experts just let him say it. With the whole bleach comment almost 3 months ago. Injecting yourself with bleach. Then you're not letting your top doctor, Dr. Fauci, come to these briefings. You directed him to the wrong goddamn building because you didn't want his ass there. Because you going to tell the truth. At this point, you need the truth. Because people are dying. And even when people get sick from COVID, that don't die but get sick from COVID and recover, some of them have to go on dialysis. Some of them have long-standing health problems for quite a while. I mean, this administration, they suck. And for Pence to lead the task force when he couldn't even control the HIV outbreak back in Indiana when he was a governor, he doesn't care. This is all political theater to them. This is all of it. All of it is political theater. They're not doing anything for the well-being of people. So I need everybody, whoever's a parent out there, whoever is a parent, they really need to not send their kids to school and to keep their asses home. And distance learning is probably the best. Get your broadband up. To all parents, that have children, get your internet, have your tablets or wherever internet you have, and get your broadband up. And yeah, Liz, he doesn't care. Trump is a pathological liar. We all knew that. If you're from New York, you know he's a pathological liar. And I believe I got two New Yorkers on here. Duh. One of them is my cousin, for crying out loud. So Trump is a liar. Big time liar. But with the governor who had a briefing today, Governor Cuomo, basically blasted Trump. Just before I get into the fact that he blasted Trump, he said intubations did go down to 97 people, so that's good, since March 16th. Also, the number of people normally that come up the ventilators, you know, they don't survive, but, you know, I mean, yeah. And you're right, Joseph. I was 100%. Thank you very much. And then with the daily testing, according to yesterday, New York City overall tested 1.2, which is not that bad from where we used to be. And different boroughs, 1.1 in the Bronx, 1.5 in Brooklyn. Brooklyn, what's going on? 0.8 in Manhattan, 1.2 in Queens, and 1.3 in Staten Island. As of the fatalities, yesterday we saw 11 people that died. But overall, the fatalities has been less than 11. So that's not bad compared to where we were back in April. We were at like 700, almost 800 per day for like 2 weeks straight. And then like after the week of April 14, we came to decrease from 400 to 200 to 100 to single digits. So, I mean, to double digits to single digits. So we really came a very long way from this virus. That's why when I see people in these videos on my timeline in the Bronx, Brooklyn, and even Harlem, like, what are y'all doing with no mask on? That's crazy. That's insane. Like, I'm gonna need for y'all to get it together, because it's very important that we keep continuing to wear our mask and wear your gloves if you go into the stores. But wear your mask mostly because you can protect your family from the droplets, because the droplets are more of the problem, because that's how you spread the COVID-19. Just because you don't feel the symptoms, but you can carry you could be an asymptomatic person that's a carrier. So, and also he basically criticized Donald Trump, basically calling his shit very stupid. But he did added Delaware, Kansas, and Oklahoma to the quarantine list. And also now there's 19 people on the quarantine list. Also, airlines have agreed to manage the tracking forms, basically filling out where you came from, where you live, and everything, so you don't spread it not just only to New York, but in New Jersey and Connecticut too. Because we doing a tri-state thing, because anything affect New York affects New Jersey and affects Connecticut, because it's true. Also, all county fairs are canceled. He said, as for schools, there's 700 school districts, and it's really up to the state to determine when the schools are open. So schools, I think the decision will be the 1st of August. I'm not sure. Most likely, if it's up to the state, more than likely the state might not open school. They might just continue distance learning due to the rise of cases and what will happen and how people plans will be, which is true. So he's giving different county executives, that's what they call upstate, or mayors, like in a city, that authority. But Mayor de Blasio had a plan, which it was not bad, because I've been pretty critical of him lately. But 2 days or 3 days a week in school for a couple of hours, not a long day, and the rest of the days rest of the days distance learning. But he said if we gotta go to distance learning 5 days a week, that's no problem. Which to me, I feel like distance learning 5 days a week is no problem, because kids could be the germiest people, and they don't know they have a cold or feel sick until like they start feeling feverish, and then that could go to mom, dad, grandma, whoever lives in the house, auntie, uncle. So yeah, so that is that. Within that being said, but he did say Donald Trump has no authority on telling him when to open schools. He said there is the Constitution. I'm going to say there is something called the Constitution, and Trump does not have the authority to tell me to open schools. You know that's right. And he said we've been there and we've done that. Like, I'm not listening to you. Like, I'm listening to the science, the data, and the experts. And Governor Cuomo's right. And because we listen to the science and data, our curve is starting to flatten. As our curve is starting to flatten, other states out west and south of us is starting to see increases. Even in my mother's home state, the governor, like I said, is a wimp. He's a punk in South Carolina. He's a punk. He didn't even do a stay-at-home order. And now he's demanding his people to wear masks. And now all the people down south complaining, they can't wear masks. Yeah, because you're having a quote-unquote New York problem. Same for Kansas. Same for Arizona, Florida, and Texas. Especially Arizona, Florida, and Texas. But Governor Cuomo offered his help to these people. Honestly, I understand he's trying to be diplomatic. But after being criticized by Ron DeSantis, I would just say ask Trump. You got 100% what you needed the first time. Ask Trump. Ask him. Because I would say the same thing. Ask Trump. But Governor Cuomo is a man of his word. He's a man with integrity. So, despite the fact he be looking mean, but he's a man of integrity. Like Mario Cuomo was. So, kudos. Hats off to him. But I'm going to move away for a little bit for coronavirus. So, I'm going to talk about this White House press briefing that I watched. Because it's always said you always got to get both sides of everything. Kayleigh McEnany, she is the White House press secretary. Basically starting off because with Trump meeting with a Mexican president and say they have strong ties and claims that people were skeptical about the meeting together and working together, but they are working quote unquote well together. And then she basically blamed the NAFTA trade deal of loss of jobs, when the loss of manufactured jobs happened before I was born. It was happening in the 60s, but it really, really took its peak in the 1980s during the Reagan administration. Who was the president throughout most of the 80s? Ronald Reagan, who had Reaganomics. Ronald Reagan. That's what happened. And then so she said because NAFTA was a bad deal for Americans and left Americans behind. Which Americans? White people? Yeah, because it left white people behind. White men with a high school education. They thought they were going to keep their jobs forever because it was from my daddy to my dad. Nope. They feel like, oh, we could pay those people in Singapore and the Philippines much cheaper rate. Sorry. Because that's how Ronald Reagan was seeing things. With the Sunbeam thing. Read about Sunbeam. The microwaves. It's true. Also, so during this exchange, reporters was asking her, like, Donald Trump has not answered the questions from the press from 2 weeks. And then she gave a lousy response, said, Donald Trump routinely answers questions. He is the most accessible than any of his predecessors. And he's always up to the job and hard at work at the Oval Office. No, he be hard on the phone, tweeting and threatening people, being a Twitter thug. Which we all know. For those who live in New York and live in New Jersey or born here and raised, you know Donald Trump was a punk. Donald Trump was scared of the mob. Donald Trump is a scared little man. He's a punk. That's why I like when he does all this big talk, they say, oh, he's like referring to a mob. I was like, y'all media folks don't know that Donald Trump is a pussy. He's a punk ass bitch. Like, I don't understand. What's so hard to even think about that? Seriously. Just saying. It's a punk. But she was asked for a follow-up about what happened with Dr. Fauci retaliating. She said his administration retaliating against Dr. Fauci because remember he was not at the coronavirus task force briefing. And then she said some crap that's a decision for the task force, and it appears at the briefing you heard a lot from Dr. Fauci. He was on 6 TV programs, all this nonsense, and she was going into. And then she one of the other reporters from CNN, Caitlin Collins, asked her what exact guidelines Trump does not like from the CDC guidelines, because he said the CDC guidelines were tough. And then Katie McEnany said Dr. Renfield, that was according to Dr. Renfield, he said he does not want the guidelines for the school districts not to be open. It's a lie right there. And not requirements and not prescriptive talk about kids needing meals or needing the services. Such bull. And then like White House, she said why does Trump does not require masks at his rallies? Because that was another thing. He had 2 rallies this past weekend unmasked, even though they were giving out masks, but you given the choice of not wearing masks. And of course, what you think those people not going to do? They're not going to wear no goddamn mask because they want to go back to normal, right? This whole notion of going back to normal because they want more normalcy again. So, she was basically saying he's operating in the accordance of the CDC guidelines, claims that he does not wear a mask because he wouldn't been tested every day. First of all, why is he testing himself every day? You should be testing over 1 million Americans a day. Or even better yet, up to 40 million Americans a day. And it's not even that many Americans. It's only 325 people in this country. 25 million Americans in this country. Gotta stress that. 325 million Americans. These other countries is more than us. And they do way more testing, or even less than us, and also do way more testing. There's something wrong. We should be testing over 500,000 at least. The least. The maximum, over 40 million people per day. And that came from Dr. Fauci. Like 2 weeks ago. And then she was also asked about what authority does he have for schools that does not reopen during the fall. And she said she was pulling data and saying it was negative impacts, using the mental health, using all kinds of anxiety and also abuse in the home. We know there's abuse in the home. That's why there is a 24-hour social services line that you can call. It's that simple. I know here in New York State, there's a 24-hour social services line. There's a 24-hour emergency. There's a lot of avenues you can go to just in case if you feel something like in the home during a pandemic. There's also federal legislation that Kamala Harris is actually proposing behind this. So Kayleigh McEnany can go ahead with that. And she was also asked about the whole thing with the wall with Mexico. And then she was also asked about Harvard and MIT because they're suing the Trump administration for basically trying to threaten kids that have temporary status, aka the DACA kids, the dreamers, of sending them back to their country if they continue distance learning. A lot of these schools, colleges, do not want to risk anyone. That includes their students who have a international status or a visa status to get COVID-19. And you know what? I don't blame them. Distance learning, to me, is the best. You get to operate. You don't have that much school at a time. You have like online classes, but you get a lot of homework. For little kids, they need online instructions, which is good. I understand they need in person, but online instruction is not too bad. Like I said, get your broadband up. It is 2020. Every household should have some kind of internet. Like in South Carolina, it makes no sense how there's hardly no internet. There's even kids here around me in New York, not around with my neighborhood, but uptown in my home neighborhood in Harlem, have the internet. There's cable services, you could get the 3-in-1. There's hotspots you can purchase. Yeah, Jamila, I said don't send him. There's computers, there's tablets. I think the city here in New York was giving out tablets to kids that were really in need. I don't know if that's still going on, but that's what I heard because my sister gave the number to somebody else in my church. Oh, yeah, he gets sick regularly in the winter. And guess what? There's supposed to be a second wave happening during the fall, in the beginning of the school year. And this administration, like I said, this is all political theater. I need people to pay attention. You don't have to watch it all day. I'm a political junkie. Even if I wasn't doing these videos, I would still be watching stuff just cause, that's just me. But it's not everybody. I get it. It's not everybody. And so, I know people will watch New York One. That's fine because my sister loves New York One. My eldest sister will watch it sometimes. My mother and my father, we're political. They're like me. They watch it all the time. And, but there's not a lot of people that won't watch it. They'll watch like a snip, like about 5 or 10 minutes. That's fine because in a movie, I think I watched RoboCop. We give you 3 minutes, we'll give you the world. And sometimes you can Learn things in 3 minutes. Yeah. If you want thorough knowledge, do your own research. Like I always say, do your research. My friend even said it on her Facebook Live. Do your research. Because this is no time to be sitting out in an election. It's like really no time, because this administration sucks. And speaking of this administration sucks, Lieutenant Colonel Vindman retired today because he was being bullied by the Trump administration, because Donald Trump was basically bullying him. He already fired him from the National Security Council with his twin brother. For those who don't know who Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman is, he's the guy with the Purple Heart. He was the guy that's testified under the subpoena that the Democrats gave him in the House impeachment hearings, who witnessed the call when Donald Trump was on the phone with President Zelensky in Ukraine, asking him basically to get dirt on Joe Biden, and he will release the money that was already allocated by Congress for military aid. It was over $400 million. That's our money. So of course he testified, and today he retired because he was supposed to get a promotion. And according to the NPR article, he said, what was it? Where is that article? There we go. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman retires after 21 years of serving. He said through a campaign of bullying, intimidation, and retaliation, the President of the United States attempted to force Lieutenant Colonel Vindman to choose between adhering to the law or pleasing a president. And that's what Lieutenant Colonel Vindman's lawyer said. Lieutenant Colonel Vindman, he testified, and he said Trump fired him and his brother. Like I said, no one's not kissing Trump's ass for no position. So I'm like, I don't blame Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. It was probably the hardest thing he had to do, but he did it with integrity. And honestly, to tell you the truth, if Biden gets elected, if people actually go out and vote for Joe Biden, ignore the disinformation campaigns. Yes, he's not a perfect campaign. I was for Kamala Harris. I'm just letting everybody know. I was for Kamala Harris. I loved Kamala. Despite the smears or whatever, I did my research on Kamala. Kamala Harris didn't lock people up for marijuana. You can do your own research. It's the truth. She did not. So, like I said, Joe Biden's not an ideal candidate, but Joe Biden is a decent man. He's a decent man. He will actually listen to people that say stupid ass shit. Even some of these so-called white woke people, they say a lot of dumb stuff out of their mouth, but he will still listen to them. That's just who he is. And he has an advisory council between him and Bernie Sanders. They're coming up with so much policies that they're going to release, I think, sometime in August. And they're going to release it to the DNC, too, which is good. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is on that, along with Congresswoman Jayapal, Congressman Ro Khanna, and some other Bernie surrogates and Biden surrogates and Harris surrogates. And even Tom Steyer joined, as I said yesterday, as a co-chairman of the environmental thing. But do I see him as the EPA director? Hell no. You gotta have, to me, I feel like you need government experience. And the only one I can see doing that is Jay Inslee, the governor of Washington State. He's good. He based his whole campaign on climate change. So he's the crap. He's the shit to me. But lastly, before I get off this thing, I want to cover the Supreme Court hearing. There was a ruling today saying that the sincere religious and moral objection as a law will not cover contraceptives, aka birth control, as an employee, and cover the employee coverage of the healthcare coverage according to the ACA. So basically, let's just interpret this. So contraceptives will not be covered for religious organizations, whoever works for a religious organization. So I worked for a religious organization, and they not say, like, if I was still there, they will not cover contraceptives, like birth control pills. I will have to, that's an out-of-pocket cost. And birth control is more than $49, right? So I'm sorry I was speaking in tongues, but it costs a lot of money. And there was a decision between 7-2. So 2 Democrats joined conservatives, while 2 actual liberal, well, one really actual liberal and another Democrat, a liberal on there joining. Of course, RBG, she dissented. She said hell no. And Sotomayor dissented. I know RB, that's why we saying the courts, this is exactly why voting is essential, because the president of the United States appoints people to, they nominate someone to the Supreme Court. The Senate confirms these folks on the Supreme Court. So that's why I always say vote, 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 because the Senate already confirmed 200 judges to the circuit courts within the United States of America. They're trying to ruin policies that help people like me and you. So enough with this. Joe Biden is not it. Joe Biden is not this. If we don't vote, we will have another 4 years of destruction. 4 years of policies being gutted. No immigrants coming here. White people trying to terrorize us. Especially the racist ones. Not the ones that march with us, but racist folks. Also, environmental protections keep rolling back. Kids getting sick. We will not be out of the coronavirus. Because it seems like we're not getting out of this, honestly, until you get a new leader. Kanye West missed the deadline for independent candidates to run for president. He missed deadlines in a couple of states, including New York. So his name won't be on ballots if he was serious about this anyway. And Republicans are like, this is wrong, and this is... No, it's not. You got some stupid black people like, oh no, Shantae. Nope. Because there's no agenda, and it's not real. And it's attention seeking. And he's trying to put out a new album. This nigga's a fraud. And yes, I said nigga because he has a low class mentality. And his wife is a slut. She slept with a man who was not even didn't even get famous as a sister. Let's just be real. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this. Please vote. Vote, 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 vote. Do your research if you have to. Wear your mask. Of course, I always say, wash your hands, keep your distance from people, and keep your children safe for those who are parents. Until then, thank you for the support, and have a good night. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got this stuff on YouTube. So, subscribe. Tell your friends. Take care. Thank you. Have a good night.